Okay, sorry about that. That was unplanned, but you know, on call 24/7, so occasionally we'll have to step away.
Captain Commando.
All right, let's hit the next game. Oh my God, Varth. Ready. Yeah, it's kind of a cool little vertical shmup. For some reason, I thought this was like a different game, so I sort of avoid playing it, you know, misunderstanding it as a game that I didn't like. But this one I do like.
Wide shot.
That's right. This one had a lot of levels. Definitely not gonna go through that again. Warriors of Fate. Basically an update to Dynasty Wars. I'll see now. It's the era of the bigger characters. Though obviously being on the CPS too, you know, certainly helps that. Alright, let's hit the next game. Ooh, oh boy, hyper fighting. I mean, some people say this is like the pinnacle of Street Fighter 2 is hyper fighting. These button sounds make no sense to me. No. Damn you, Zangief. Oh, hilarious. Oh boy. Street Fighter 2 Turbo Ultimate. Let's see if this is the first release of the game, because it'll be like incredibly cheap. Which they later fixed. They fixed the cheapness of the computer AI later on in different revisions. But certainly not the one that was on the Switch, and I don't imagine that they would have had any foresight to change out the versions in between releases. So let's see. Oh yeah, I think this is the cheap version. Because no matter what difficulty you set it on, it's just incredibly hard. I think they just weren't expecting people to play the single-player campaign, or with the single-player mode. So it probably wasn't like a huge priority for them to like test to see if the one-player version was broken or not. Well, yeah, it's severely broken as far as like the difficulty. Yeah, they didn't change that. I don't think Capcom has any sort of motivation to change that either. Oh, okay, we only have a Japanese ROM. That's another one that's licensing issues, I guess. Justice. Grey. Look at that fat robot. Yeah, I have the North American version of this running on my my Mr. But this isn't a video about the Mister, so, you know. Unfortunately, we're left with just the Japanese version, which, again, no changes were really made for the North American one outside of translating some text. So you're not really missing out as far as the gameplay is concerned, but if you do care about the story, then, you know, I guess pick up some Japanese. As far as Capcom's concerned. Just learn another language, it's fine. Though if you're a video game fan, it certainly wouldn't hurt to learn a little bit of Japanese. You know, outside of what you hear from in anime. Which isn't really how Japanese people speak. Yeah, I love the visuals in this game. Just these big, giant mechs. They animate pretty well. For whatever reason, you know, mechs aren't as big of a deal as they are in Japanese culture. Like, mechs are like a super cool thing, and you know, North American culture it's not, you know, still cool, but not as cool. All right. Again, theme here is that things run really, really well. Certainly better than it did on the Switch platform, but to be expected. I mean, if it ran exactly as it did on the Switch, I would kind of wonder about the emulation itself. Yeah, this is a game I heard a lot about, but I'd never seen it until it came into my local nickel arcade. It's kind of hard to get into, I think, and you know, with it having not as many perceived character types, I think that sort of hurt it too. But I really like the design. I think they were spot on the artwork and the animation. Just, you know, it's not like a super deep game, so I think ultimately that's what really killed it. Yeah, now it's the Forgotten series. You know, real short ring. It's a pretty good 2D effect, I think. Yeah, look at all that animation. Really well done, highly detailed. All the characters are pretty cool too, really. As I said, it's kind of a shame that it just didn't really go anywhere for Capcom. Yeah, 19XX. Or 19 cross cross. Oh, we're still on the Japanese version, so whoops. Okay, we'll switch back next time. Yeah, the new hardware really made a difference for all of the Capcom's arcade games. That CPS3 is pretty powerful. Again, there's a lot more going on here with colors and visually and number of characters on screen that was ever really possible for home machines during this era. You know, so it was really impressive stuff. Maybe sort of difficult to capture how impressive it was. Yeah, definitely the most balanced of the 19, XX games. Okay, we got battle circuits. I guess I should have started in the other direction with the oldest games, because we're kind of starting with the newer games. So I don't think the progression will look as impressive, but going from CPS 1 to CPS 3 is such a big difference. Characters from oh, not Captain Commando. I forget the name of the beat 'em up. It's in here. Or I mean, God, there's fighting game. There's a 1-on-1 fighting game that has characters from in here. Yeah, I like this game. It's got such a goofy cast, just absolute craziness. That's what makes it interesting. Yeah, it is much nicer to play it on this platform. Not particularly because of the controller, because the controller stinks compared to the Switch, but the performance is definitely a step up. Again, my opinion. I'm sure there are people that actually like this controller, and I'm happy for your 7 additional thumbs that you have. Yeah, I played this a lot on Dreamcast, this Ginga Wing. So when the heavy use of billions of points really started to come into play. Also interesting for a company to make a vertical shmup that's in 4.3 instead of 3.4. So you have the full horizontal length. Whereas most of these games would have or rotated the screen 90 degrees. But this also accommodated for the second player, and later on when they did 4 players, it sort of made more sense there. Yeah, I wouldn't even consider it Capcom's best shooter, but there is something about it that is fun. Just really all the massive chaos that's going on, and the ridiculous number of points that you can earn. Again, that slowdown is from the original game. You know, not because the collection is, you know, the collection on the game system is slowing it down. That's just how the original game behaved. And it sort of feels weird to have to explain that sometimes. .44. The Leap Master. God, even going through these quickly, it still takes a while, doesn't it? I mean, there's just so many games. I just really wanted people to just see everything briefly, just to look at the performance, you know, versus the Switch version. Again, I love the Switch version, but it did have some serious performance issues for pretty much all of the games. I don't think there's a single game where I didn't see some frames drop. Even the older games, you know, from Section Z and Trojan had issues. You know, here we get none of that. And I'm assuming that's the same way for the PlayStation 4. More games on my Xbox since, you know, the library is kind of pathetic. So I try to put some things in there just so I feel like I've gotten my money's worth of this thing. At some point in time. It's just not true right now, today. And I don't like brown FPS multiplayer games, so that removes a lot of the library for me as far as what I want to play on this thing. And if E3 was any indication, you know, there will be no shortage of brown FPS games, brown FPS multiplayer games. Yeah, this was also the age of, like, the heavy use of pre-rendered sprites, too. Again, not bad. It's a different style. Yes, the infamous Purveyor. Not really infamous, just sort of hard to find. And it being a side-scrolling cave game, you know, they didn't make a whole ton of cave shmups. You know, bullet hell 2D cave shmups is a very, very rare. Then yeah, the fact that it's a steampunk game too, it's just like, man. It's just an odd game overall. But really fun. Feels like a vertical shmup, even though it's 4:3. I think they largely accomplished what they set out to do. Yeah, the animation and the art really, I mean, they still hold up so well. The resolution might bother people, but you can always filter the game a little bit too if it really bothers you. Well, I don't necessarily like all the filters that they gave you here, You know, it sort of, you know, even out the image for you if it's too blocky. I sort of like this level 1 filter, this bilinear filtering. Sort of gives it a CRT look without giving you the CRT lines. Alright, focus. Now we're getting into the Gen 1 stuff. Yeah, a surprisingly fun game still. Simple but fun. And really, I'm just happy to play it without so many frames being dropped. You know, it was such an aggressive frame skip on the Switch. Speaking of which, I guess I should probably think about getting the Ultimate Ghosts and Goblins on the system too. Or Ultimate Ghouls and Ghosts? One of those two. Well, I guess you get that on the PlayStation. I don't know. I had a lot of fun with it on the Switch, but I guess we could play it on like the hard mode on another system, because that's also another game that suffered, you know, pretty heavily from frame skipping. I know, it's that Solvaloo font. You know, the Xevious font. I think that's what throws me off about this game. Although, you know, obviously, you know, that font appeared in other games outside of Namco. Oh, no. Oh, gosh. Nope. Nope. This way. Thank you. Yes. This is what I want. Yeah, not a real exciting game to show people. I mean, but you know, it's sort of Bomberman-esque. I think it's kind of cool. Oh, there's something incredibly charming about these single-screen games. Yeah, kind of weirdly into it for some reason. Ah, yes, the whistle game. A game which I will never really play for pleasure ever, ever again. But it is a part of Capcom history, so here it is. Yeah, like I said originally, I originally saw this game at like my local convenience store. You know, not a chain restaurant or not a chain store, so it wasn't at the 7-Eleven. But you know, they just had, you know, just one family ran this one business kind of near my school, and I remember even back then, like just the sound of the whistle song was incredibly grating. I was like, why? I don't know how they thought that this was a good idea. But the gameplay, you know, the gameplay is classic, so it's still really challenging. And it's nice that it's just hard enough. Just enough to string you along to put another quarter in. And again, strangely enough, I like the Atari 7800 version of this game the most of all the versions that came out. Yeah, certainly not the worst game in the world, but I don't, think I would normally go out of my way to play this game. A lot of the other games on this collection I would, but not really this one. I think just the combination of the difficulty and the well, really just because it's really difficult. And it's very samey, but that was just a product of the era. They didn't have like gigs of memory and hard drive storage for tons of different levels. So this is what we got. I think they did a good job for what they had, certainly. Nobody will ever accuse the Commando games of ever not being intense. There's always lots of stuff shooting at you. Ah, yes. I actually can't believe that we went through this game. That was certainly one of my accomplishments, although I didn't go through it without using save states, which I suppose is something that a real masochist would do, but I am not one of those, unfortunately. I know, what a crazy series, Before there was Dark Souls, there was Ghosts and Goblins. Oh. What a tragedy. Oh, I have more class? Oh, this game does not know me. Yeah, it's the infamous Section Z. Oh, I mean, I think I played a lot of the NES one. Oh no, I don't think I own this one on the NES. That's right. I think I rented it once or twice, and it was too hard for me at my tender age. When we were playing through this on the Switch, I had never realized how incredibly difficult the game was. For some reason, I thought it was fair, but going back and playing it again, it's like, oh no, this game is not fair at all. It was just a punishing game, but pretty cool at the same time. It's a good take on the scramble formula. And what would later be the Gradius formula. Great art, though. I think that still looks pretty good, even after all the years have gone by. Nah, it's just nice to play it. Nice to play these games without the frame skipping. Nice switch. Yeah, switch goes Trojan. I don't know what they couldn't. I don't know why they couldn't get Trojan. Maybe the condom company went after them. People are going to confuse your game with our condoms. I'm like, I'm pretty sure they're not. There'd be one stupid person that would confuse this with condoms. Though I wouldn't doubt that that person exists. Oh, this tune really stuck in my head. I mean, I get this tune stuck in my head every once in a while. Considering I really didn't play the game that much, it just lets you know how like certain melodies, certain combinations, they just really, even if you only heard it a couple times, they really stick with you. And like I said, I'll remember something, or I'll be doing something, I'll be thinking of this song in my head for some reason. No, it's just super catchy. I don't know what it is about it. Nice, Legendary Wings. One of my favorites, and something which I can't believe they never really capitalized on. Maybe it did really terribly. I mean, I remember it being popular in the local arcade, but maybe it just didn't make it that much money. I mean, it is a difficult game, that's for sure. Oh, it's not that difficult. Boy, I'm not paying attention. Oh, I must be tired. It's too early to be tired, though. I mean, and I'm not good. I mean, well, people think that I'm actually good at this game. And that I'm having off days, and that's pretty much normally how I play a game. Oh, we're finally at the end. Okay, Bionic Commando. The, strangely enough, the bad version of Bionic Commando. I mean, outside of that crappy 3D one they made on the 360. I think that one might be worse than this one. Sort of debatable. Again, though, great music, great iconic music. Really unforgettable. The game is like also like unreasonably difficult. Like, I don't know how you do it without just dropping a ton of quarters into it. In fact, I think I said this before, it almost feels like this music was meant for another game. Okay, so there we go. That was all the games in the Capcom Arcade Stadium. That's packs 1, 2, and 3. You can buy the packs separately, or you can buy the games individually, or you can buy the whole, the whole kit and caboodle for about $40. The game is free to download, and you get Ghouls and Ghosts and 1943. Although I think Ghouls and Ghosts is just the bonus. I don't know if that'll last forever. Then if you want to buy more, you can purchase additional packs. Again, I'll say that if you have the option of purchasing Capcom Arcade Stadium on platforms other than the Switch, then probably do so, right? Because the Switch one does have some performance issues. It hampers a little bit, although, and it's a little bit distracting. Though, if you only have a Switch, it's still worth buying. But if you have a system other than the Switch, and you have the Switch as a second system, or maybe Switch as your primary system, or whatever. Yeah, definitely pick it up. It's well worth the time. Tons of great games on here. They occupy a lot of time. They're real challenging. I think the graphics have stood up even for the early CPS1 games. I think they still really look and sound good. So yeah, so definitely check it out. Again, I won't be doing in-depth one-on-ones like I did with the Switch version. I don't think you need to see those all over again, and it would take me a couple weeks to do that, obviously. But yeah, definitely check it out, and I recommend it. And yeah, make sure to enjoy that piece of Capcom history, and hopefully they'll have more packs in the future. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching. I will see you at the next stream.